For millennia, humanity has whispered tales of a cataclysm, a deluge so immense it scoured the very face of the earth, reshaping landscapes and obliterating entire epochs of life. From the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, through the Hebrew Bible, to the intricate myths of indigenous peoples across every continent, the memory of a great flood persists, a primal scar etched deep into our collective consciousness. But what if these weren't merely allegories or cautionary fables? What if they were echoes, distorted through time, of a genuine planetary trauma, an event that reshaped not just the physical world, but the very trajectory of human civilization itself around 12,000 years ago? Could such a catastrophic event truly have occurred? And if so, what force unleashed a watery wrath of such unimaginable scale? The prevailing scientific narrative points to the end of the last ice age, a period marked by glacial retreat and a gradual rise in sea levels as vast sheets of ice melted over thousands of years. But is this slow, almost imperceptible process enough to account for the sudden, violent inundation described in cultures separated by oceans and millennia? Or does the evidence, scattered across the globe in enigmatic ruins and geological anomalies, suggest something far more dramatic, a single, devastating event that plunged a thriving, albeit forgotten world into an abyss of water and mud? We are taught that civilization, as we know it, began approximately 6,000 years ago, emerging from the Fertile Crescent with the first cities, writing, and organized societies. Before that, humanity was largely nomadic, hunter-gatherer bands struggling for survival. This is the official story, neatly cataloged and widely accepted. Yet, beneath the surface of this established chronology, whispers of an earlier, more advanced age persist, etched in stone and enshrined in legend, hinting at a sophisticated culture abruptly extinguished, leaving behind only tantalizing fragments of their existence. Could the Great Flood have been the hand that swept this forgotten epic into the depths, leaving us to rediscover its shattered remnants, one by one? Consider the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a controversial but compelling theory that posits a cosmic event, the impact or airburst of a comet, approximately 12,800 years ago. This theory suggests a sudden, dramatic cooling period, a reversal of the warming trend after the last glacial maximum, followed by an equally sudden warming and massive meltwater pulses. Such an event would have unleashed unimaginable energy, potentially destabilizing ice sheets, triggering colossal tsunamis, and plunging vast swathes of land beneath the waves. The geological evidence for such an impact is increasingly robust, with nanodiamonds, microspherules, and other impact indicators found in sediments across multiple continents, precisely dated to this period. But even if such an impact occurred, was it solely responsible for the planetary deluge? Or was it merely the trigger, the final cataclysm for a world already teetering on the brink of an environmental collapse that our history books have entirely omitted? Let us journey to southeastern Anatolia, to a remote hilltop known as Göbekli Tepe. Discovered in the mid-1990s, this site utterly defies our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities. Here, massive T-shaped pillars, some weighing upwards of 20 tons, are intricately carved with images of animals, scorpions, boars, snakes, foxes, and raptors, arranged in concentric circles. These monumental structures, clearly engineered with precision and symbolic intent, date back to approximately 11,600 years ago, placing their construction squarely within the period immediately following the Younger Dryas event, and a staggering 6,000 years before the construction of the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge. The sheer scale and sophistication of Göbekli Tepe are astounding. It is not a settlement, it appears to be a ceremonial complex, a place of worship built by hunter-gatherers according to the conventional narrative. But how could nomadic people, supposedly without agriculture, metallurgy, or complex social hierarchies, conceive, plan, and execute such an enormous undertaking? Transporting and carving these megaliths would require a level of organization, specialized knowledge, and a surplus of labor that simply does not fit the established picture of human life during the Stone Age. This site predates the invention of pottery, the wheel, and even settled agriculture. yet it showcases architectural prowess thought impossible for its time. What compels a society to undertake such a colossal project? Could it have been an act of remembrance, a desperate attempt to record something monumental, something terrifying that had just occurred? The carvings at Göbekli Tepe are vivid, dynamic, often depicting predatory animals. Are these simply artistic expressions, or do they hold deeper, perhaps astronomical, significance? Some researchers have noted that certain arrangements of symbols on the pillars may correspond to constellations, potentially mapping a specific celestial event that occurred around the time of the Younger Dryas. Could this site be a cosmic observatory, a memorial to a fallen sky, a testament to a world turned upside down? And why, after centuries of use, was Göbekli Tepe intentionally buried? Not eroded by time or abandoned to decay, but deliberately backfilled with earth, its magnificent structures preserved beneath layers of soil as if to conceal its secrets or to protect them from some future calamity. This deliberate burial is perhaps the most perplexing aspect of the site. It suggests a society with not only the ability to construct such marvels, but also the foresight or the necessity to entomb them. Were they attempting to safeguard knowledge, to hide evidence of a previous civilization, or simply performing a final reverent act for a sacred space in a changing world? Could Göbekli Tepe be a Rosetta Stone, not just for the dawn of civilization, but for the end of a civilization we have yet to fully comprehend, a civilization that bore witness to the Great Flood and sought to immortalize its memory in stone before its own final disappearance? Now, let us turn our gaze to the sands of Egypt, to the iconic plateau of Giza, dominated by its majestic pyramids and the enigmatic Sphinx. For generations, Egyptologists have dated the Great Sphinx to the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, around 2500 BCE, placing its construction firmly within the established timeline of dynastic Egypt. It is a cornerstone of our understanding of ancient Egyptian civilization. But what if this dating is fundamentally flawed? What if the Sphinx is far, far older than we currently imagine, a silent sentinel that has witnessed not just millennia, but tens of thousands of years of Earth's turbulent history? The compelling argument for an older Sphinx centers on the patterns of erosion visible on its monumental body, particularly on the enclosure walls surrounding it. These patterns are characterized by deep, undulating vertical grooves, a clear signature of prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall and water runoff. This is not the horizontal erosion caused by wind and sand, which is typical of the desert environment in which the Sphinx has largely resided for millennia. The Giza Plateau, for the vast majority of dynastic Egyptian history, has been an arid desert. Geological studies conducted by independent researchers, including Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, have meticulously analyzed these erosion patterns. Their conclusions are startling. The Sphinx and its enclosure walls exhibit classic signs of precipitation-induced weathering, the kind of weathering that would require thousands of years of sustained, heavy rainfall. The last period of significant sustained rainfall in the Giza region that could produce such erosion ended roughly 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, a time when the region was far wetter, transitioning from a savanna-like climate to the desert we know today. If these geological observations are correct, then the Sphinx must predate dynastic Egypt by at least 6,000 to 8,000 years, pushing its origins back into the very period of the Younger Dryas and the end of the last ice age. This radical redating shatters the conventional timeline of human civilization. It implies the existence of a highly advanced culture, capable of monumental stone construction thousands of years before the accepted dawn of civilization. Who carved this colossal guardian, and why? What did they witness during the epoch when the Giza Plateau was verdant and wet, an era that included the tumultuous period of the Great Flood? The head of the Sphinx, strikingly small in proportion to its massive body, also presents an anomaly. Some theorists propose that the original head, perhaps that of a lion, was severely damaged by the cataclysmic flood or subsequent weathering, and was later recarved by dynastic Egyptians into the likeness of a pharaoh, resulting in its disproportionate size. This would explain not only the geological evidence of water erosion on the body, but also the stylistic inconsistencies between the head and the body, with the latter showing far more severe and ancient weathering. Is the Sphinx a testament to a forgotten age, a monumental warning carved by an ancient hand that understood the forces that could reshape the world? Does it silently scream of an inundation, a world drowning that occurred at the very epoch when its weathered flanks were first exposed to the rains of a distant past? Moving further across the globe, beneath the serene turquoise waters off the coast of Japan, near the island of Yonaguni, lies another profound mystery: the Yonaguni Monument. This colossal underwater structure, discovered in 1986, consists of immense stepped terraces, flat platforms, perfectly straight edges, right angles, and features that appear to be carved staircases and channels. It is a structure of undeniable grandeur, seemingly fashioned from solid bedrock, stretching across hundreds of feet at depths ranging from 5 to 40 meters. While some geologists argue that its precise angles and monumental scale are merely the result of natural geological processes exacerbated by tectonic activity and erosion, the sheer regularity, symmetry, and geometric precision of the features are difficult to reconcile with purely natural formations. The arguments against its natural origin point to the clear presence of discernible features like a triangular pool, a stadium-like seating area, and drainage channels that defy easy explanation as random acts of nature. Could a natural process truly carve such perfect 90-degree corners, parallel lines, and stepped terraces that resemble architectural design? If the Yonaguni Monument is indeed man-made, or at least modified by human hands, its implications are monumental. For it to have been constructed above sea level when human activity could have shaped it, the land would have had to be dry. This would place its construction at a time when global sea levels were significantly lower than they are today, likely during the last ice age, possibly around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, or even earlier. As the ice sheets melted rapidly at the close of the Younger Dryas, global sea levels rose dramatically, submerging coastal lands and any structures upon them. The Yonaguni Monument, therefore, stands as a silent witness to a time when different shorelines existed, a time when an unknown civilization possessed the technology and organizational capacity to carve massive stone structures in a region of the world where such advanced activity is utterly unexpected for that period. Was Yonaguni an ancient port, a ceremonial site, or perhaps a city, now lost beneath the waves, a casualty of the very same rising waters that inundated countless other forgotten coastal regions around the world during the catastrophic end of the last glacial period? Does its submerged presence not hint at a global event, a rapid and dramatic increase in ocean levels that swept away not just populations, but entire cultures, leaving their monumental works as enigmatic relics on the ocean floor? Now, let us turn to the South American highlands, to the bleak windswept plains of Bolivia, near Lake Titicaca, where the ruins of Pumapunku lie scattered like the bones of giants. This ancient site, part of the larger Tiwanaku complex, dates back to approximately 501,000 CE in its visible form. However, the true enigma of Pumapunku lies not in its visible structures, but in the astounding precision and scale of its building blocks, and the overwhelming evidence that it was not merely abandoned, but utterly destroyed by an unimaginable force. Pumapunku is renowned for its H-blocks, massive interlocking stones carved with such precision that they appear to have been machined. These blocks, made of hard andesite and diorite, are cut with perfect straight lines, flawless right angles, and intricate, repetitive geometric patterns that defy conventional Stone Age or even Bronze Age technology. The cuts are so precise, so smooth, that they seem to have been made with tools and techniques far beyond the capabilities attributed to the Tiwanaku people or any known ancient civilization. Some of the interlocking pieces fit together so tightly that not even a razor blade can be inserted between them. The sheer weight of these stones is another puzzle. Some of the largest blocks weigh over 100 tons, with many others ranging from 10 to 50 tons. How were such immense stones quarried, transported over significant distances, some quarries are kilometers away, and then lifted and precisely positioned on a high-altitude plateau without the use of wheels, advanced cranes, or iron tools? The only available tools for the Tiwanaku people would have been rudimentary stone implements, incapable of achieving such precise cuts on such hard stone. This monumental feat suggests a lost technology, a profound understanding of stone masonry, or perhaps even a method of softening stone that remains a mystery to us. But the most striking aspect of Pumapunku is its state of catastrophic destruction. Unlike other ancient ruins that show gradual decay or targeted dismantling, Pumapunku looks as if it was torn apart by an immense sudden force. Massive blocks are scattered haphazardly, some overturned, others fractured and tossed far from their original positions. It is not the work of human invaders. It speaks of a colossal cataclysmic event. What kind of force could shatter and scatter multi-ton stone blocks with such ferocity? Could this destruction be linked to the same global cataclysm that ended the Ice Age? While the visible ruins of Pumapunku are dated to a much later period, the site itself and the foundational elements of its construction may predate the Tiwanaku culture, perhaps being inherited or rediscovered by them. The legends of the indigenous Aymara people speak of Viracocha, the creator god, emerging from Lake Titicaca in a time before the current age, shaping the world and teaching humanity after a great flood. Could Pumapunku be a vestige of this antediluvian world, a testament to a civilization that understood forces we can only speculate upon, a civilization that was ultimately obliterated by the very forces of nature it perhaps sought to harness or commemorate? Does the precision of its stonework not hint at a people who saw a different world, a world where the very ground could be shaken and the waters could rise to unthinkable heights, leaving their cities in ruin? And what of Baalbek, in modern-day Lebanon, home to the ruins of an ancient Roman temple complex, famed for its colossal scale and architectural grandeur? While the Romans certainly built upon this site, creating some of the largest temples ever constructed in the ancient world, the true mystery of Baalbek lies beneath their foundations. Here, we find the trilithon, three immense perfectly fitted stone blocks, each weighing approximately 800 tons. They form part of the retaining wall of the Roman Jupiter Temple, supporting a platform that still mystifies engineers today. These blocks are among the largest ever used in construction in the history of the world. To put 800 tons into perspective, that is roughly the weight of 10 fully loaded M1 Abrams tanks. How were these megaliths quarried from a site nearly a mile away, transported, lifted into place, and then perfectly fitted with a precision that belies their enormous weight, using only the technology attributed to the Romans or even earlier Phoenician builders? The Roman historian Pliny the Elder wrote of the stones of Baalbek as marvels, even in his own time, suggesting that their origins were already shrouded in mystery. Further away, in the nearby quarry, lies an even larger stone, the Hajar al-Hibla, or the stone of the pregnant woman, also known as the Southern Stone. This colossal monolith, still partially attached to the bedrock, weighs an estimated 1,000 to 200 tons. It was clearly intended for use in the Baalbek complex, suggesting that the builders were capable of moving and incorporating stones of truly staggering dimensions. Why attempt to move such a behemoth, and how? The logistics and engineering required for such a feat are simply beyond our current understanding of ancient capabilities. The existence of these megalithic foundations at Baalbek predates the Roman structures by an unknown period, hinting at an earlier, more advanced civilization that laid the groundwork for what the Romans later built upon. Local legends, echoing through the millennia, speak of Baalbek as a city built by giants, or by the mythical Nephilim, or even by a race of beings possessing divine powers, long before human civilization as we know it. These ancient foundations exhibit a construction quality and scale that is distinct from the Roman work, suggesting a different, possibly older, set of builders with a forgotten understanding of engineering and physics. Could Baalbek be another architectural ghost of a pre-flood world, a world where the manipulation of immense stones was not only possible but commonplace? Was it a testament to a time when humanity, or perhaps a different kind of humanity, had access to technologies that were lost in a global catastrophe? Does the very scale of these stones, defying our understanding, whisper of an ancient knowledge that vanished with the rising waters, leaving only these immovable reminders of a world that once was? These structures, like those at Pumapunku, stand as a profound challenge to our understanding of human history, demanding that we reconsider the narrative of our past. They are not merely ancient ruins, they are questions cast in stone, echoing the mystery of a world that perished under the deluge. From the carved pillars of Göbekli Tepe, silently witnessing a celestial trauma, to the water-eroded Sphinx, enduring the deluges of a forgotten era. From the submerged terraces of Yonaguni, now home to marine life, to the scattered megaliths of Pumapunku and the immense foundations of Baalbek, each site presents an anomaly, a profound inconsistency in the tapestry of accepted history. Each one points to a period of advanced capability preceding the rise of known civilizations, a capability that appears to have been abruptly extinguished. The common thread weaving through these disparate mysteries across continents and cultures is the tantalizing possibility of a cataclysm of global proportions, a great flood that not only wiped clean the slate of a forgotten world, but reset the course of human development itself. The cumulative weight of this evidence, geological, archaeological, and mythological, demands a reevaluation of our past. It suggests that the end of the last ice age was not a gradual, uneventful transition, but a violent, transformative epoch, perhaps triggered by a cosmic impact, leading to rapid glacial melt, devastating tsunamis, and an inundation that reshaped the very continents. The lingering question is not if a great flood occurred, for the evidence is increasingly compelling, but what truly caused it and who was there to witness it. Who were these pre-Diluvian architects and engineers leaving behind these monumental riddles? And what knowledge did they possess that was lost to the surging waters, leaving us to piece together their shattered legacy from the remnants of a drowned world? The official story tells us of slow progress, but the stones themselves speak of a sudden, brutal ending to an age of wonders. The official story tells us of slow progress, but the stones themselves speak of a sudden, brutal ending to an age of wonders. Consider Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey, a site that has utterly rewritten the accepted timeline of human development. Carbon dated to at least 12,000 years ago, contemporary with the proposed Great Flood, Göbekli Tepe predates Stonehenge by some 6,000 years and the advent of agriculture and settled villages by millennia. Here stand massive T-shaped megaliths, some weighing over 60 tons, intricately carved with detailed reliefs of animals and abstract symbols, arranged in sophisticated, interconnected enclosures. These monumental structures demand advanced planning, complex engineering, and a societal organization far beyond what hunter-gatherers are typically thought capable of. This wasn't a crude encampment, it was a sophisticated ceremonial complex, a place of profound spiritual significance. But what makes Göbekli Tepe truly enigmatic is its apparent sudden burial. Around 10,000 years ago, after centuries of use, the entire site was deliberately and meticulously covered with earth, interring its secrets beneath layers of sediment. It wasn't destroyed by invaders, nor abandoned to slow decay. It was entombed, as if to preserve it from an impending catastrophe, or perhaps to hide it from a new, less understanding world. Who built Göbekli Tepe, and why did they go to such extraordinary lengths to conceal it? Could this elaborate burial be a direct consequence of the very cataclysm that swept across the globe, forcing its creators to safeguard their sacred knowledge from the rising waters or from a new, harsh reality? This wasn't the work of primitive minds, but of a culture with a profound understanding of monumental architecture and symbolic art, a culture whose very existence at such an early date challenges the foundations of our historical understanding. It suggests an advanced human presence at the very precipice of the Younger Dryas event, an age of sophistication abruptly erased and then deliberately hidden. The enigma deepens as we cast our gaze across continents, finding echoes of similar inexplicable constructions. From the Cyclopean walls of Sardinia and Malta, with their precisely fitted massive stone blocks, to the colossal Olmec heads of Mesoamerica, displaying features alien to the region, and the precise geometric earthworks of the ancient Amazon, visible only from the sky, a pattern emerges. These sites share a common thread. They are often dated to periods preceding established civilizations, exhibit technologies far beyond their supposed capabilities, and frequently show evidence of an abrupt end or abandonment. How did cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years develop such similar architectural prowess, often working with stones of staggering weight and hardness, shaping them with incredible precision without the benefit of metal tools or the wheel? Were these independent inventions, or are we glimpsing fragments of a shared global architectural tradition, one that was disseminated from a common, unknown source, or perhaps even a direct inheritance from a mother civilization that spanned the pre-cataclysmic world? The official explanations often strain credulity, attributing these feats to prodigious amounts of manual labor and rudimentary tools, yet fail to adequately explain the precision, the scale, or the sheer number of these global anomalies. The uniform excellence in stonework, from Peru to Egypt to Japan, speaks not of isolated ingenuity, but of a knowledge system that transcended geographical boundaries, a legacy left by those who understood the earth and its materials in ways we are only now beginning to rediscover. The very oceans, too, hold their secrets, submerged testament to a forgotten age. While the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan hints at an inundated landmass, other undersea discoveries further challenge our understanding of geological stability and ancient human settlement. Off the coast of Cuba, sonar scans have revealed a vast complex of structures lying thousands of feet beneath the ocean's surface. While largely unexplored, the precise geometric shapes and arrangement of these formations suggest artificiality, a city swallowed by the deep. Similarly, the so-called Bimini Road in the Bahamas, a mile-long stretch of perfectly aligned rectangular limestone blocks, some weighing many tons, lies submerged in shallow waters. While some scientists dismiss it as a natural geological formation, its uncanny regularity, the precise interlocking of its stones, and its resemblance to ancient harbor structures lead others to speculate that it is indeed a man-made anomaly, submerged by rising sea levels. But if so, when was it built? And how could such massive blocks have been moved and laid with such precision in a prehistoric era? These sunken structures, whether fully confirmed as artificial or still shrouded in scientific debate, offer a tantalizing glimpse into a world that existed before our recorded history, a world that was consumed by water. Their very existence forces us to confront the possibility of sudden, dramatic shifts in sea level, or even cataclysmic subsidence, far beyond the gradual changes that prevailing geological models suggest. They are silent monuments to a lost world, patiently waiting beneath the waves for humanity to acknowledge their profound implications. Perhaps the most compelling and controversial evidence of a lost global civilization comes not from stone, but from ancient maps, documents that seem to defy logic and chronological possibility. The Piri Reis map, compiled in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral, is a stunning example. This map, drawn on a gazelle skin, depicts the coastlines of West Africa, South America, and most astonishingly, a portion of Antarctica, accurately detailing its coastline before it was covered by ice. The map shows mountain ranges and rivers that are only now being revealed by modern seismic surveys through the continental ice sheets. How could a 16th century cartographer possess such precise knowledge of a continent that was not officially discovered until the 19th century, and whose subglacial topography remained unknown until the 20th century? Piri Reis himself stated his map was compiled from 20 ancient charts, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. This suggests an original source, a lost atlas from an unknown civilization with the capability to accurately survey the Earth on a global scale, before significant parts of it were encased in ice. The Piri Reis map is not an isolated anomaly. The Orontius Phineas map of 1531 also depicts Antarctica, again with surprising accuracy, showing ice-free coasts and rivers flowing from inland mountain ranges, much like the Piri Reis. The Haji Ahmed map of 1559, another historical curiosity, shows a land bridge connecting Siberia and Alaska, a feature that existed during the last ice age, but was submerged long before the map's creation. These maps are more than mere curiosities. They are profound challenges to our understanding of ancient history and technological capability. They imply that a civilization with highly advanced navigational, cartographic, and perhaps even aerial survey capabilities existed at a time when conventional history tells us humans were struggling with basic survival. This lost knowledge, somehow preserved and passed down through millennia, hints at a global network of scientific understanding that was shattered by a cataclysm, leaving only fragments for future generations to rediscover and misunderstand. The existence of these maps points to a pre-cataclysmic world where global exploration and mapping were not just possible, but perhaps even routine. A world whose achievements were largely obliterated by the very event that reshaped the Earth. If these disparate pieces of evidence, the mysterious megaliths, the enigmatic underwater ruins, the anachronistic maps, and the sudden burial of sites like Göbekli Tepe, coalesce into a compelling case for a pre-Diluvian civilization and a global cataclysm, then the crucial question remains: what truly caused this unimaginable event? The most potent and increasingly accepted scientific hypothesis points to a cosmic impact, a devastating encounter with a comet or asteroid that plunged Earth into a new dark age, precisely at the end of the Younger Dryas period, roughly 12,900 years ago. This theory, known as the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, provides a mechanism for the sudden and brutal ending of the Ice Age, the rapid melting of glaciers, and the global inundation described in ancient myths. Evidence for this cosmic impact is found in a distinct geological layer known as the Younger Dryas boundary layer, which spans continents and contains a suite of anomalous materials. Across North America, Europe, and Asia, beneath a layer of carbon-rich sediment often referred to as a black mat, researchers have discovered an extraordinary array of indicators. These include high concentrations of nanodiamonds, microscopic diamonds formed under immense pressure and temperature, characteristic of an extraterrestrial impact. Alongside these, there are spherules of various types: magnetic spherules, often containing platinum group elements, and glass spherules, all formed from molten material ejected at extreme velocities and temperatures, signatures of a massive impact event. These particles are often found embedded in the remains of megafauna that suddenly went extinct at this very period, linking the impact directly to the faunal collapse. Furthermore, scientists have identified an anomalous spike in platinum and other rare earth elements, such as iridium, in this same boundary layer. While iridium is famously associated with the dinosaur-killing Chicxulub impact, platinum spikes are also strong indicators of cosmic material. The specific ratios and forms of these elements, distinct from volcanic activity, overwhelmingly point towards an extraterrestrial source. These microscopic clues, scattered across the globe, act as fingerprints of a colossal event, a celestial hammer blow that reverberated through the Earth's systems. This wasn't a localized incident. It was an event of planetary scale, leaving its mark in the very dirt beneath our feet, a silent witness to a cosmic catastrophe. The presence of these markers in multiple continents at the same chronological horizon makes it increasingly difficult to dismiss as mere coincidence or isolated phenomena. They speak of a single unified event with global repercussions. The immediate consequences of such an impact would have been catastrophic beyond measure. The initial impact itself, likely fragmented into multiple airbursts or shallow ocean impacts, would have generated shockwaves and thermal pulses, leading to widespread wildfires across vast forested areas. This is supported by the omnipresent black mat layer found at the Younger Dryas boundary, rich in charcoal and soot, indicative of widespread burning. The atmospheric injection of dust and aerosols would have plunged the Earth into an impact winter, blocking sunlight and causing a sudden dramatic cooling, even as other mechanisms caused rapid melting. This sudden shift in climate would have been devastating for ecosystems, contributing to the megafaunal extinctions. The very atmosphere would have been poisoned, shrouding the planet in a toxic haze for months, if not years. But the most direct link to the Great Flood narratives lies in the impact's interaction with the massive ice sheets that still covered vast portions of North America and Europe. A cosmic impact, particularly on or near these ice sheets, would have instantly vaporized colossal volumes of ice, triggering unimaginable floods and mega tsunamis. Imagine walls of water, hundreds or even thousands of feet high, unleashed from melting glaciers, scouring landscapes, creating the scablands and channeled floodplains seen in regions like the Pacific Northwest, formations that defy gradual erosion. These would not be gentle rises in sea level, but cataclysmic surges, overwhelming coastlines, and inundating vast continental interiors. The sheer scale of such a rapid meltwater discharge would have reshaped continents in mere days, tearing away topsoil, carving new riverbeds, and depositing massive, unsorted sediment layers across wide regions, precisely the geological evidence that continues to puzzle conventional geologists. The suddenness of the deluge, the violence of the torrents, and the obliteration of everything in its path resonate profoundly with the ancient flood myths, giving them a terrifying scientific validation. Further, paleoclimatological data also supports this abrupt shift. Ice core records from Greenland and Antarctica show an extremely rapid onset of the Younger Dryas cooling event, followed by an equally abrupt warming period at its end. These oscillations are far too quick and extreme to be explained by gradual climate shifts. The sudden, violent fluctuations are consistent with a massive external shock to the Earth system, such as a cosmic impact. Furthermore, paleontological evidence paints a grim picture. The sudden demise of the megafauna, mammoths, mastodons, saber-toothed cats, giant ground sloths, across North America and parts of Europe and Asia at the end of the Pleistocene epoch, is a stark reminder of a major environmental collapse. Many of these animals were thriving one moment and gone the next. The discovery of frozen mammoths in Siberia, perfectly preserved with fresh, undigested buttercups in their stomachs, speaks not of slow freezing over millennia, but of an instantaneous cataclysmic shift from temperate conditions to extreme cold, an event so rapid that their bodies did not even have time to digest their last meal. What force could instantaneously freeze a creature of that size, burying it under layers of ice and permafrost, while simultaneously causing a global deluge elsewhere? Such anomalies demand an explanation far beyond gradual climate change or human overhunting. They point to a moment of profound planetary violence. Beyond the cosmic impact theory, a more radical yet equally compelling explanation for the Earth's sudden transformation emerges: crustal displacement. Proposed by figures like Charles Hapgood and even garnering attention from Albert Einstein, this theory posits that the Earth's entire solid crust can, under certain conditions, shift rapidly over the semi-molten mantle beneath. It's not a gradual continental drift, but a sudden, dramatic slippage of the entire outer shell, repositioning continents and dramatically altering the planet's rotational axis relative to its current poles. If a cosmic impact were sufficiently powerful, particularly if it impacted the polar ice caps, it could create an imbalance of mass so profound that it could destabilize the crust, triggering such a shift. The consequences of crustal displacement would be cataclysmic beyond imagination. Entire continents could be moved thousands of miles in a matter of days or even hours, shifting temperate zones to polar regions and vice versa, explaining the sudden freezing of mammoths in Siberia and the rapid melting of glaciers elsewhere. Landmasses could be submerged, while new ones could rise. This would unleash unimaginable geological forces, earthquakes of unprecedented magnitude, widespread volcanic eruptions, and, crucially, global tsunamis far exceeding any generated by mere ocean impacts. These tsunamis would not just batter coastlines, they would literally sweep across continents, reshaping topography and obliterating all signs of human habitation. The very distribution of land and sea would be altered. Such an event provides a holistic explanation for the simultaneous global flood narratives, the sudden shifts in climate, the megafaunal extinctions, and the geological anomalies that defy conventional uniformitarian explanations. It paints a picture of Earth as a dynamic, sometimes violent, system, capable of abrupt, devastating transformations. If a highly advanced pre-Diluvian civilization truly existed, possessing knowledge of global cartography, sophisticated engineering, and astronomical precision, then the Great Flood represents more than just a geological event. It was an intellectual and cultural holocaust. What became of these architects and engineers? Did some survive? The myths of many cultures speak not only of a flood, but of culture heroes, or gods who arrived after the deluge, bringing knowledge, teaching agriculture, metallurgy, writing, and the arts of civilization to scattered, bewildered survivors. Consider the Egyptian god Thoth or Osiris, the Mesoamerican Quetzalcoatl, or the Sumerian Oans, all described as benevolent beings who descended from the heavens or emerged from the sea to guide humanity out of a state of barbarity. Could these be the highly intelligent, technologically adept survivors of the cataclysm, guardians of a lost legacy, who, finding humanity reduced to a primal state, sought to restart civilization from the shattered remnants of their own? The rapid advancement of early post-Diluvian civilizations, like Sumeria and Egypt, from seemingly primitive beginnings to highly sophisticated societies in a relatively short span of time, defies a purely evolutionary model. How did Sumeria suddenly develop cuneiform, advanced irrigation, monumental architecture, and complex social structures seemingly out of nowhere after the Younger Dryas period? How did ancient Egypt construct the pyramids and develop precise astronomical knowledge with astonishing speed? Could this miraculous leap not be an independent endogenous invention, but rather the retransmission of advanced knowledge adapted and taught by the surviving custodians of a much older, lost civilization? The precision of ancient Egyptian astronomical alignments, their understanding of the precession of the equinoxes, and the sheer scale and mathematical sophistication of their megalithic constructions, for instance, hint at an inherited wisdom, a profound legacy passed down from a pre-cataclysmic world rather than a gradual invention from scratch. The very miracles of early civilization might be echoes of a much greater, forgotten past, the surviving embers of a once flourishing global intelligence. The cumulative weight of this evidence, from the global uniformity of flood myths to the inexplicable precision of ancient megaliths, the anachronistic accuracy of antique maps, the stark geological markers of a cosmic impact, and the sudden extinction of megafauna, demands a fundamental reevaluation of our past. The prevailing scientific paradigm, which champions a gradual and linear progression of human history, struggles to comfortably accommodate these profound anomalies. It often dismisses them as natural phenomena, coincidences, or the exaggerated fables of primitive peoples. Yet, as new archaeological discoveries continually emerge, such as Göbekli Tepe, pushing back the timelines of human sophistication by millennia, the edifice of accepted history begins to show significant cracks. The resistance to these alternative theories is not always rooted in pure scientific objectivity, but sometimes in the powerful inertia of established academic thought, the reluctance to dismantle deeply ingrained paradigms that have shaped generations of scholarship. But the stones speak, the myths whisper, and the earth itself bears witness to a different story. It is a story of a sophisticated past abruptly cut short, not by slow decay, but by a catastrophic event of planetary proportions. It forces us to confront the possibility that humanity has experienced cycles of advanced civilization and collapse, that our present understanding is but a snapshot, a single chapter in a much larger, more dramatic narrative. The Great Flood, then, is not merely a tale from antiquity, It is a primal memory, a warning, and a profound challenge to our collective amnesia. It is a persistent echo from a drowned world, urging us to look beyond the comfortable narratives and question the very foundations of what we believe to be true about our origins and our trajectory as a species. The very definition of civilization, of progress, and of humanity's place in the cosmic order stands to be reshaped by this forgotten past. If an advanced civilization thrived on Earth some 12,000 years ago, what profound knowledge did they possess that we have lost? Did they understand the cyclical nature of cosmic catastrophes, the Earth's susceptibility to such events? Were they aware of the impending doom and perhaps attempted to warn or prepare future generations, embedding clues in myths, maps, or monumental architecture? What technologies allowed them to carve and move multi-ton megaliths with such precision, or to map the entire globe with such accuracy? Could their understanding of physics, of energy, or of the very fabric of reality have surpassed our own in certain domains? The loss of this knowledge, submerged beneath the floodwaters and buried under layers of sediment, represents an intellectual void, a gaping hole in our understanding of human potential. The implications of accepting this alternative history are vast and profound. It suggests that our current civilization, with all its technological marvels, might not be the pinnacle of human achievement, but merely one iteration in a grander, more cyclical story. It reminds us of our precarious position in the cosmos, of the Earth's vulnerability to external forces, and of the fragility of even the most advanced societies in the face of truly cataclysmic events. It forces us to reconsider the definition of primitive and advanced, to look beyond material technology and consider a deeper, perhaps more holistic, understanding of the universe that our ancient predecessors might have possessed. The questions raised by these anomalies are not merely academic, they touch upon the very essence of human history, our resilience, our capacity for innovation, and our enduring quest for meaning. We stand at a crossroads where the relentless march of new discoveries increasingly chips away at the bedrock of conventional history. The evidence for a cataclysmic flood, a global inundation tied to a cosmic impact, and perhaps even crustal displacement, is becoming too compelling to ignore. It is a story not of gradual evolution, but of sudden, violent transformation, a dramatic reset that wiped the slate clean and forced humanity to begin anew. The scattered remnants of a drowned world, the enigmatic monuments, and the persistent echoes in our oldest myths are not isolated curiosities. They are pieces of a coherent, albeit terrifying, puzzle. They speak of a forgotten age, a pre-Diluvian world of wonders and perhaps of great wisdom, a world abruptly ended by the watery wrath of a cosmic event. What secrets remain buried beneath the sands or lost beneath the waves, waiting for us to piece together the full, awe-inspiring, and perhaps humbling truth of our deep past? The lingering mystery of the Great Flood is not just a quest into history. It is a journey into the very nature of existence itself, a somber reminder that even the most advanced civilizations can be swept away, leaving only whispers in the collective memory of a shattered world. The lingering mystery of the Great Flood is not just a quest into history. It is a journey into the very nature of existence itself, a somber reminder that even the most advanced civilizations can be swept away, leaving only whispers in the collective memory of a shattered world. These whispers, however, are not confined to ancient texts. They echo from the very stones of the earth, manifesting as monumental enigmas that defy our conventional understanding of prehistoric human capabilities. We are confronted by structures of such immense scale and precision that they challenge the established timelines of human technological development, pushing back the boundaries of what was thought possible for early societies. What if these architectural marvels, scattered across continents, are not the nascent efforts of emerging cultures, but rather the enduring remnants, or perhaps even the desperate attempts at reconstruction, by survivors of a lost golden age, striving to rebuild from the ashes of a global catastrophe? Consider Göbekli Tepe, nestled in the southeastern plains of Anatolia, a site that has utterly rewritten the narrative of human civilization. dated to approximately 9500 BCE, preceding agriculture and pottery by millennia. This colossal complex of megalithic enclosures stands as the oldest known temple in the world. Here, massive T-shaped pillars, some weighing up to 60 tons, are intricately carved with sophisticated reliefs of animals, scorpions, boars, snakes, foxes, and predatory birds, revealing an artistic and symbolic language of astonishing complexity. These monumental structures were not merely built, they were deliberately buried, meticulously preserved beneath artificial mounds, only to be rediscovered in our modern era. The sheer organizational effort required to quarry, transport, carve, and erect these stones by hunter-gatherer societies, a full 6,000 years before the rise of Sumerian cities, seems almost inconceivable. It defies the very foundation of archaeological understanding, which posits that monumental architecture and organized religion arose after settled agriculture provided the surplus resources and social stratification necessary for such endeavors. Were the people of Göbekli Tepe merely hunter-gatherers, or were they inheritors of a knowledge far more profound, survivors carrying the embers of a sophisticated culture from a time before the deluge, seeking to commemorate an event or an understanding that was almost lost? What ancient celestial knowledge, what profound spiritual insights did they possess that compelled them to undertake such a staggering feat of engineering and artistry in a world supposedly still emerging from the Stone Age? The precision and scale seen at Göbekli Tepe are not isolated phenomena. Across the globe, other megalithic sites present similar profound challenges to the established timeline of human capabilities. Take the ruins of Baalbek in Lebanon, specifically the trilithon stones in the Temple of Jupiter, which feature 3 massive blocks, each weighing over 800 tons, placed with incredible accuracy. Nearby lies the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, a single megalith weighing an estimated 200 tons, still partially attached to the quarry. How were these colossal stones quarried, transported, and elevated with such precision by methods available to Roman or even earlier Phoenician builders? The technology to achieve such feats would strain even modern engineering capabilities. Could these foundational elements be far older than the Roman temples built upon them, echoing a pre-existing, technologically advanced construction from an earlier, forgotten era? What if the Roman engineers were merely building upon foundations they themselves could not replicate, foundations laid by an antediluvian culture that harnessed forces and techniques unknown to us? Further still, the mysteries extend beneath the waves. Off the coast of Yonaguni Island in Japan lies a submerged monolithic structure, often referred to as the Yonaguni Monument. Consisting of massive stone formations with sharp angles, terraces, staircases, and what appear to be carved features, it rests at a depth that would have placed it above sea level during the last ice age. While some argue for natural geological formation, the regularity of its features, the straight lines, 90-degree angles, and terraced steps strongly suggest artificial modification, if not outright construction. If it is man-made or even adapted by human hands, then it represents a complex structure existing at a time when conventional history maintains that humanity was still primitive, well before the advent of any known sophisticated coastal civilizations. What cataclysm submerged this potential city or ceremonial site? Could its sudden descent beneath the waves be direct evidence of a dramatic change in sea levels, perhaps a consequence of massive glacial melt triggered by a global cataclysm, precisely the kind of event implied by the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis? The very existence of such a structure, whether fully artificial or naturally enhanced, begs for a reevaluation of maritime history and the potential extent of prehistoric human occupation and ingenuity. Then, there are the cartographic anomalies, maps that seem to defy all known geographical knowledge for their supposed eras. The Piri Reis map, compiled in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral, is perhaps the most famous. This map accurately depicts the coastlines of South America and, astonishingly, the coastline of Antarctica, long before it was officially discovered in 1820, and even more perplexing, it shows parts of the Antarctic landmass free of its ice sheet. How could a 16th century mapmaker possess such detailed knowledge not only of undiscovered continents, but of a geography that existed only thousands of years prior when Antarctica was not encased in ice? The explanation often proposed is that Piri Reis compiled his map from much older source maps, some dating back to the 4th century BCE or even earlier. But even those older sources cannot explain the pre-glacial depiction of Antarctica. Were these ancient cartographers drawing upon knowledge inherited from a far earlier, globe-spanning civilization, one that mapped the Earth's surface during a period of very different geological conditions, perhaps even before the Younger Dryas impact rearranged continents and ocean levels? The implications are staggering. A lost global mapping tradition preserved through millennia, a testament to an interconnected world that existed long before our fragmented historical understanding allows. These disparate pieces of evidence, the inexplicable temples of Göbekli Tepe, the colossal stones of Baalbek, the submerged mysteries of Yonaguni, and the anachronistic accuracy of ancient maps, they begin to weave a tapestry of a forgotten past. They whisper not of isolated advancements, but of a global knowledge, a universal understanding that was perhaps shared across vast geographical distances in an age that now seems impossibly remote. What if a sophisticated global culture with advanced astronomical, engineering, and cartographic knowledge once flourished across the Earth only to be annihilated by a sudden, devastating event? Such a civilization would have been uniquely vulnerable to the kind of rapid environmental changes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and widespread fires predicted by the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. The immediate aftermath would have plunged survivors into a desperate struggle for existence, their advanced knowledge quickly degenerating into myth and fragmented, almost miraculous skills. The black mat layer, the geological signature of the Younger Dryas impact event, serves as a continent-spanning tombstone for this potential lost world. It represents not merely a geological boundary, but a cultural one, dividing an age of unknown possibilities from the slow, arduous reemergence of human civilization that we conventionally recognize as the beginning of recorded history. Below this mat, we find the enigmatic signs of advanced tool-making and spiritual complexity. Above it, there is often a stark absence, a sudden cultural regression, as if the collective memory of advanced techniques and sophisticated societal structures was violently erased. The nanodiamonds, the magnetic spherules rich in platinum group elements, and the unprecedented levels of iridium within this layer are not subtle suggestions. They are unequivocal fingerprints of an extraterrestrial impact, a cosmic hammer blow that struck the Earth with unimaginable force. This impact would not only have caused immediate devastation through shockwaves, wildfires, and atmospheric disruption, but it would also have triggered a rapid and catastrophic climate shift. The sudden introduction of vast quantities of freshwater from melting glaciers, combined with a potential slowing or redirection of ocean currents, could easily have led to the global inundation described in flood myths. Enormous tsunamis sweeping across continents would have scoured coastlines, obliterating settlements and dragging evidence of advanced cultures into the abyss of the deep ocean. The very crust of the Earth may have groaned and shifted under such pressures, leading to localized displacement or geological instability, further erasing surface evidence of a previous epoch. The survivors, scattered and traumatized, would have found themselves in a dramatically altered world, forced to start almost from scratch, passing down fragmented accounts of their lost golden age as cautionary tales and sacred myths. This perspective demands that we reevaluate not just the timeline of human history, but the very nature of human progress. Is history a continuous linear climb from savagery to enlightenment, or is it a cyclical process punctuated by catastrophic resets? What if our current understanding of technology, science, and societal organization is not an unbroken line of invention, but rather a slow and painstaking rediscovery of knowledge that was once widely understood? The great minds of antiquity, from Plato speaking of Atlantis to the Vedic texts describing advanced flying machines and cosmic battles, might not have been indulging in pure fantasy, but rather echoing fragments of inherited memory, glimpses of a past that was far grander and more complex than we dare to imagine. The implications for our understanding of human potential are profound. If advanced civilizations could rise and fall, leaving behind only these tantalizing broken fragments, what does that say about our own perceived invulnerability? Are we too susceptible to forces beyond our control, forces that could once again sweep away our technological marvels and sophisticated societies, leaving future generations to puzzle over the remnants of our digital age? The study of the Great Flood and its potential cosmic cause is therefore not merely an academic exercise in archaeology or geology. It becomes a vital quest for self-knowledge, a sober reflection on our place within the vast, unpredictable forces of the universe. We stand at a precipice of understanding where the weight of accumulating evidence challenges us to let go of comfortable narratives and embrace a more dynamic and perhaps more humbling view of our past. The earth beneath our feet, the myths in our oldest texts, and the stars above all seem to conspire to tell a story far more dramatic and ancient than we have dared to believe. A story not of slow, steady progress, but of sudden, violent transformation, of great civilizations lost, and of humanity's enduring yet fragile capacity to rebuild and remember. What deeper truths about our origins, our destiny, and the cyclical nature of existence await us, if only we have the courage to piece together the scattered remnants of a drowned world and listen to the whispers of a forgotten age. The answers may shake the very foundations of our understanding, but in doing so, they might also illuminate the path forward, reminding us that wisdom lies not only in what we know, but in acknowledging the vast, mysterious depths of what we have forgotten. The shadows of this forgotten age loom larger than we perhaps realize. For if the cataclysm of 12,000 years ago was indeed triggered by forces beyond our terrestrial understanding, then the question of recurrence becomes not merely academic, but existential. What wisdom, what preventative measures, what understanding of celestial mechanics might have been lost in that deluge? Knowledge that could safeguard us against future cosmic threats. The massive structures that defy conventional explanation, the myths that echo universally across disparate cultures, the sudden, unexplained leaps in early civilization. These are not isolated anomalies, but pieces of a grand, tragic mosaic depicting a highly advanced precursor civilization brought low by a cosmic hammer blow. Are we, in our modern hubris, doomed to repeat cycles of oblivion simply because we refuse to acknowledge the full scope of our shared, ancient heritage? To truly grasp the profound implications of the Great Flood is to confront a past far more complex and perilous than the sanitized narratives often allow. It is to accept that the story of humanity is not a simple linear ascent, but a cyclical journey, punctuated by periods of profound loss and rediscovery. The haunting silence of the ruins speaks volumes, if only we attune ourselves to their ancient frequencies, if we dare to look beyond the comfortable surface of what is easily explained and venture into the unsettling realm of what is profoundly possible. For in the scattered remnants of a drowned world, in the universal memory of a sky that once wept torrents, lies not just a stark warning, but perhaps the very key to unlocking our true potential, to understanding our place not just on this planet, but within the vast cosmic dance. What if the most profound truths about our existence are not to be found in the comfort of accepted dogma, but in the unsettling, undeniable echoes of a catastrophe so immense it reshaped everything, leaving us, its distant progeny, to pick through the fragments and finally remember?